We're going to start the lecture recording for DRFT132. Remember, this lecture session will go up until 6:45. Oh, sorry, 6:15, and then until 6:30 with questions. Today, I will also host a lab from 7:30 to 8:30. If you have, if you have any questions, feel free to drop by at the lab. And let's see what we have to do. Let me fix this light here. Okay, I think that's fine. So we'll do that, but we also have review of, remember to submit your schematic design. And we are also check the schedule. And we're going to review homework assignments number 2. Review questions number 2. All right, so let's do that first, and then we'll get into more of the workflow. Okay. Hmm. One second, I'm getting this ready. Somehow was not ready. It's kind of strange. So we're gonna do that. And we're gonna save that here. Okay. And remember, we only need to do the review questions. We don't need to do the self-exam, although you are more than welcome to do that yourself. And so the questions are, all right, let me pause one more second here. Hold on a second. And review question number 1. The view scale for a drawing view is set by clicking the scale listed on the view control bar. And to answer that question, we are going to open the Revit program and go over that. So um, on the view control bar, yes, you find a tool that allows you to set the view scale for the particular view that you have. Now, not necessarily the drawing, but the view. Remember that in Revit, we are not really drafting or doing any drawings. We are actually creating a three-dimensional virtual model of the building. And so that's a little different. And so when I see that they mention the drawing, and then that's not really what I like to see. Okay, so we're gonna open this project that we had the other day. And at the bottom left corner, we find the view scale. Now, this view scale is the scale for this particular view. But at the same time, and you can change it similar to what you do in AutoCAD. But at the same time, if you were to bring any view, for example, I'm going to go to the first floor plan, and now I have that particular object there. If I go to the sheet, for example, first floor plan sheet, and that view is there. And so that's the scale that I have on the floor plan view also is the scale that I have on the view that is on the sheet, because that view is exactly the same object. And so that's important to mention, right? The view scale is the scale that is here, and that scale is on the active view. But at the same time, if you were on a different view, as the active view, this view, the floor plan, still will have that scale on the sheet, right? And then if you want to change that scale on the sheet, then you need to go to select the view and change the scale on the properties, right? It's a little different. So the view that is active, you can change the scale here, but also you can change the active view on the properties as well. So it's got more options than we usually have in the other programs. And so the answer to that is yes, it's true. Dimensions are placed with 2 clicks of the mouse. Well, let's look at that. I'm going to hide and view this. So when I do dimensions in Revit, I need to go to Annotate and then select Align. Align is the default dimension type that I can use in Revit. There are other ones, right? Angular, radial, diameter, linear. Those are secondary. The most important one, and the one that we use the most, is here. So select Align, and then you select one object. Well, let's dimension here. One object, then the other object, 2 clicks, and then place the dimension. So in reality, there are 3 clicks, right? Let's do it again. Align, select one object, select the other object, and then place the dimension line. So there are 3 clicks that we use to create a dimension in Revit. And so the dimensions are placed with only 2 clicks of a mouse. That is false. Let's do that again. Great. The relative size of text in a drawing is controlled by the view scale. And this is where things start getting very interesting in Revit, right? Because Revit is a more advanced program than AutoCAD. Revit was invented or it came to market about 20 years after AutoCAD. And so in Revit originally, and from the get-go, we had these features that are very similar to the annotative scale in AutoCAD. As a matter of fact, the technology for annotative scale in AutoCAD came to AutoCAD from Revit. When Autodesk purchased the Revit company, then they started bringing some of the features from Revit into AutoCAD. And that's one of those, the annotative scale. And I wanted to look at a couple things here. So I'm going to place a couple things in my project here. Let's see if I can do that. I'm going to create a room first. Architecture and rooms. So I'm going to place one and another and another. So these objects are called rooms, right? And it's got a tag. Now see what happens if I modify the dimension, right? Maybe I don't need a 1/4 inch scale. Maybe I want to print this at a 1/8 inch scale. See what happens to the text. Now, apparently the text became larger, but that's not what's happening. What is really happening here is that the building became smaller. The scale of the building is smaller, and so the text remains the same. But because we made the building look smaller, then the text seems larger, right? And that's the program automatically setting up the annotations to be the right size, similar to what we do in AutoCAD with the annotative scale feature. So if I change that to 1/4, then it goes back to that. And if I do an even larger scale, like 3/4, then the text looks really, really small. But remember, the text is not changing size. What changes size is the zoom factor on the building. The text remains the same height. Remember that in architectural drafting or in architectural um, production, text sizes are basically three: titles, subtitles, and notes. And each of them has a specific height that the text needs to be when the sheet of the drawing is printed. I go back to 1/4. And so let's analyze then again the question. The relative size of text in a drawing is controlled by the view scale. Yes, that is true. If we modify the view scale, then the text is modified accordingly. Number 4, you can quickly switch to a different view by double-clicking on that view's label in the project browser. You can quickly switch to a different view by double-clicking on that view's label in the project browser. Yes, that's true. At least I hope it's true, right? Let me bring up my sheet here with the answers from the book. I want to make sure we're talking about the same. So the question is, you can quickly switch to a different view by double clicking on that view's label in the project browser. Okay, let's go to here, and that's true. If I double click on the view, then it's going to send me to that particular view. And I double click on second floor, sends me to the second floor. And I click on the first floor, double click, sends me to the first floor. And so that's the way to navigate the views. If I click on the east elevation, it sends me to the east elevation, and so on, right? So got back to the questions. So that's true. Number 5, you cannot select which side of the wall a window is offset to, true or false, and that's actually false, because we can actually do that. So when we are inserting windows, see what happens. And I select window, and then I'm going to place the window on the wall. And so there, the window is towards the inside of the wall. But if I move my cursor towards the outside, then the window goes to the outside. Inside, outside. So I do have the possibility of deciding the side. What happens if I place it here? Well, it gets placed there. Now let's get back to the question. You cannot select which side of the wall a window is offset to. Well, that's false because we can. But why? And what's the best way to do it? This is in the inside and that one is on the outside. Which one is correct? Well, let's take a look at the features that this window has to manipulate it. So if I click on the window, then I see the temporary dimensions. I could modify that. I'm not going to do it. But I can also see these arrows. And these arrows are the flip arrows. If I click on those arrows, it's going to flip the side that the window is in and out. Which side is correct? Well, this is correct. The window needs to have the flip arrows on the exterior. That's the right location of that window. Let's look at the window on a 3D view. And maybe from the other side, which is might have less shadows. Yeah. So this window, let's look at the floor plan, and that is this window. It's got the outside, the arrows on the outside. And that's the right way. Now, if I click on the window and then right click flip facing, I'm exactly doing the same thing. And that's the wrong way. This is what the window should look like in the interior. This is the interior trim of that window. So I'm going to select it again and flip facing by right clicking. And that's the right way to have the window. So remember that windows do have correct side, right? These flip arrows need to be on the outside of the wall. If you had the window this way, then it's wrong. All right, next question. This key cycles through the available snaps near your cursor. And that key is the tab key. And so let's see, I remember I could do something like that. What's this here? Text right here. Tab, right? Cycles through the available snaps near your cursor. And that's also very important when working with Revit. So remember that Revit is a three-dimensional modeler, right? It allows us to create a three-dimensional model of the building. And so at any particular time, even when we're looking at a view like this, which is a floor plan, we're not really looking at 2D objects. All of these objects are 3D. Let's go back to here, and I am going to use the section box again. Click on the section box and bring this down. See, what we have on the floor plan, remember, is a section. Floor plans are a section view. And what's the height that we cut the section to in a floor plan? Well, the standard is 4 feet. So if we look at the first floor, this is a section at 4 feet off the ground. That's the height that we are cutting objects. That's why we see this, because this is under the 4 feet height. And so anytime that we want to do anything, and we put the cursor there, we may not be selecting the wall. Maybe we are selecting something else. Or in other words, we have the possibility of selecting any object that is perpendicular to that cursor. For example, let me go back to 3D. We do have a floor that is aligned to the walls. So if I go back to this view, I could select the floor from here. Right now I can't because it says there that I'm selecting the wall. But if I leave my cursor there and then press the tab key, you will see that at the bottom left corner where I'm pointing to, the program is going to indicate what object you can select. So right now it says basic wall generic on the left bottom corner. But if I press tab, now it says change of walls or lines. And then if I press tab again, it says floor. Now if I click, I select the floor, even though I am on top of the wall there. But the snap allows me to select any object through that is available and that is on the line of the cursor by cycling through it. And so that's what this question is talking about. So the tab key cycles through the available snaps near your cursor. Next, which specific tool did you use in the chapter? Well, you're supposed to be doing the chapter exercises. And so this question is calling you up on that. What specific tool did we use? And that's the same tool that we did use when we were creating the roof here. So I am going to select section, and then we created this roof on this level. And so the tool that we use when we create a roof, the default tool that we should use is architecture roof and then roof by footprint, okay? So the answer is that, roof by footprint. And that's the one that you need to use also for the exercise in the book. While in the door tool, you can change the door style and size via space within the properties palette. All right, so very important, very important. Okay, so this tool palette here on the left is the browser. This is the project browser. We select the views that we want to see. On the right side, on my screen, I have the properties palette. All right, you can see that there. These are the properties of the view, or if I have an object selected, the properties of the object. But when I select a door, for example, go to architecture and then select a door, at the top of the properties is what we call the type selector. That's where the type selector is located. That panel here at the top of the properties is the type selector. And the type selector is activated when we select a tool that we want to use, a component that we want to bring in the model. So I'm going to select door again. Now the type selector is activated. And now I can select the type of door that I want. Right? And there it is. Maybe the door goes right there. Yeah. And so for all the objects that we want to work with, the type selector is there. And that's very important to know. Where is the type selector? So you know that the type selector is right there. Okay, let's get back to the questions. And so the answer is type selector. When plotting, you must tell Revit the desired scale while in the plot dialog box. No, that is false because you can set that up before, right? And so we're gonna look at that. And so the answer here is false. So hmm. So the answer is false. Now let's talk about printing and plotting in Revit. Okay, so you had to do that for this first submittal or submission that you had to turn in today. And so when creating sheets in Revit, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to the bottom of the browser and activate, if it's not active, the sheets section, right? Now it's activated, it's maximized. And for example, I'm going to go to the elevation sheets. Okay, I'm going to double click on this and go to that sheet. So there's nothing here yet because I haven't placed the elevations on the sheet, but I can do that very easily. And this we can do for any view. In this case, I'm going to work with elevation, but we can do with any view. Select the sheet, and then you select the view that you want to use and drag and drop. Okay, drag and drop. And Revit place the view there, place the annotation there, and done. You didn't have to draw anything to do that. And let's bring another view. Let's bring the 3D view this time. So I'm going to move this here. And now I'm going to bring the 3D view. Drag and drop. And there it is. So I have now two views on this sheet, right? I need to organize it better, but the views are there. And that's what you do. Now, when you are ready to print, you can modify the scale of the views by clicking on each view. For example, we said that for schematic design, we should be printing at 1/8 max. So I select the view, and then I change the view scale right here in the properties. Right, and then I can drag that. And then I select that, and that one is already 1/8. So that's great. But if I wanted a different scale, I can select the view and change it here. When I'm ready to print, what I'm going to do is select File and Print. Now, remember, and this is also very important for everybody, that many times we are going to print to PDF. And because of that, what I'm going to do is select Print, and then make sure that the printer I select here is a PDF printer. It could be Qt PDF, it could be PDF Creator, and those are all free alternatives. Now, if you were in the lab at City College, you will have the Adobe PDF option. And still, some of you are accessing the lab via remote software, right, using VMware. And so if you do, then you're going to have this available to you. So that's okay to use. But if you need to get a PDF printer, then you need to go in the internet and then look for a free PDF printer. That's my advice, right? I don't support any of the printers, but there are many possibilities, right? And so you can select free PDF editor, free PDF editor. Let's look for best free PDF printer. And for example, we get here 9 best PDF printers, right? And like I said, this is just one of the websites that review and list PDF printers, right? And so the first one that they say it is here is PDF Element, free download. Then Adobe Acrobat Printer. I don't think this is free, but I don't remember. Foxit PDF Printer also free, and then completely free, see? So you can download any of these ones, the one that you want, and then install the printer on your computer. Once you have the printer installed, then all you have to do is do File, Print, select the printer you are going to use, and then the other step that you need to do to print in Revit is make sure that in the setup, you select the paper size that you need. The default Revit title block is D size. And another thing you need to do is to make sure that you zoom 100%. If you don't zoom 100%, then the drawing is not going to be to scale, right? So zoom 100% and center. And that's it. Now you can do a preview. And now this is all to scale. It's printing on a D size, and it is going to create a PDF, right? If I click print and click OK, then it's creating a PDF file. And it's right here. So I'm going to save it, and I can save it to the desktop, for example, save and save. This one, PDF Creator's got a couple steps. And done. This is my printed page. Now you can attach this file to your submittal. And that's what you have to do. Really quick again. First, you need to set up your sheet. Drag and drop, open the sheet, and then drag and drop the content. Now, if the content is already on one particular sheet, it's going to say you cannot bring it into other sheets. You can always delete any views from the sheets. That does not delete the views. It only deletes the copy of the view that was on the sheet. And so once you have your sheets ready, then what you need to do is make sure that you have a PDF printer, and then select print. Then make sure that the PDF printer is selected, and then go to setup. In setup, zoom 100%, center, make sure the paper size is correct. Everything else can be default. And once you do that, you can do a preview if you want, or just click OK. And that's the printing process in Revit. Very simple. And number 10, the quick access toolbar has a tool which gives you quick access to a 3D view of your model, true or false. It is true. Where is that? Well, the quick access toolbar is this toolbar at the top upper left corner of Revit. And we see a little house icon, and that's the 3D access, right? And so if you click on the house icon, then you access the 3D. Same thing if you go to view, and then you click on the house as well. 3D view and 3D view, default 3D view. Same thing, or quick access toolbar. And so that's the homework for today. And now the next step I want to do today before we sign off on the session is talk a little bit about content, right? When we need to prepare a file for a presentation, we need to get content. And Revit has default content that comes with the program when you do the installation. So let me talk about that briefly. Just going to change this a little bit here. And there's the door. So when I say content, I'm talking about objects like this, a sink or windows or doors that are components that I can bring into Revit. For example, if I had a garage door a garage and I need a garage door here, what I can do is go to architecture, door, and see, first of all, see if the template that I have contains that door. I can look for that here, garage door. It's not going to have it because first of all, it's not called the garage door. It's called the overhead door. And don't see it. It's not loaded, right? And so this template that we opened does not have that door type loaded. So to get that door, what I can do is go to architecture, door, and then select load family. And in load family, then I will find the doors right there. Open that, open residential, and see if there is an overhead door. Let's see, full glass wood, entry, half glass, panel, 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 panel. I don't see it. This list right now is a list, but I can change the view here to have thumbnails. And then I can see that. See, I missed it. It's right there. And that actually called garage door and garage door. So they are here um, by default, right? And so my mistake. It's not called by default the overhead. It's called the door, garage door. And so I'm retracting myself. It's not called overhead. If I want to load it, I just double click on it. And now it's loaded. See, I can place it in there. And if I look at the 3D view, now we have a garage door. Now, the garage door may already have some different types. The types are the different sizes. It only has one side, so we'll have to modify. We'll talk about that next class. Now, what if you need a particular component that is not in the library? For example, go to door, load family, and then you don't find here what you're looking for. The other option then to load content into Revit is to go online. And there are many places where you can find content for Revit, of course. But one of the oldest websites that came into existence when Revit was released in 2000 was Revit City. This is the oldest working website that allows us to get content. Now, one of the things about Revit City that needs to be said is that all the content in Revit City is uploaded by users and it's not curated by anybody. So use Revit City at your own risk. I don't know if you're going to find problems with the type of files that you need. But you go to Revit City and then you can go to downloads and then you can search for keywords, right? And so let's do a keyword for Santa Barbara and look for something. And then you can get some, there's not much there, right? I was trying to look for tile roof, right? Tile roof. And then you get some samples of tile roof that you can download. Let's look for a garage door. And there are multiple garage doors there, very different. These are objects that have been created by users like you. and they upload them into Revit City. And so now you can download them if you want to. To download from Revit City, of course, you need to join and then log in. It's a free site. They just require you to join and log in. Another website that is very important is called BIM Object. BIM Object used to be the default website from Autodesk. They're an independent company now, so no longer doing that. But BIM Object is a high quality content website. It's got content not just for Revit, but it's got content for other software as well. And if you're looking for anything here, you can just type garage door, and you can see that there are many options. File types, and you see that there is AutoCAD, MicroStation, ArchiCAD, and if you go down here, you can see Vectorworks and then Revit, right? So there are multiple different types of content, and this is a company that curates the content. So all the contents here is first quality, and they're backed by this website. The only purpose of this website is to make sure that they produce high quality content. And then there are other places, right? Let's look for BIM content. And so you can see many other places, right? And so one of the ones I use a lot is BIM Smith. Another one that is great is ArchiCAD. And so, you know, you can just go to the websites and look for the content that you need. It could be any content. Look at this. They have Christmas trees for Revit. And so that you can create a project that's got all the elements that you want. So feel free to do that. There was a website where there are some websites that are also for purchasing your content. And there is one called the Revit Furniture. I think it's revitfurniture.com actually. There it is. And so I like this because it was created by some architects way back in 2008 when the recession hit, and they started creating content for Revit as a way to develop their business. And so they have a really good set of content, and then you can see all the objects that they have right here. And you can buy from them a pack that has all the objects that you may need. So that's another way of getting content from Revit, right? So to summarize what we're talking about, if what you need, what you're looking for is not in the Revit is not in your project, then you go to the Revit library, right? Door, load from library. If it's not in the library, then you can go to the internet and find any website that may have content. Some of the websites include Revit City, BIM Object, and then of course places like this one, revitfurniture.com, where you can get content. I don't remember if there's free content in this website, but they certainly have a pack for students that allow you to purchase, and they're not paying me for this, at a low cost. All right, so that's it for now. Let me know if you have any questions. Remember, we need to continue working on our project, try to maximize the quality as we move on. I am going to be reviewing the submittals that you sent in today and redline them with comments